Professional development and its fatal flaws. I'd like to start with an anecdote. I'm standing in front of Year 9. It's my first day professional teaching and I know nothing. I'm sure the students know more than me and they're going to call me out. That day, I wasn't ready to teach, but I'd gained my degree and the university believed that I knew what I was doing. I didn't. As Hattie poignantly points out in his TED Talk, teachers have no apprenticeship. Only by continually improving ourselves, our teaching practice and knowledge, and our knowledge of how students learn, can we as teachers improve ourselves. In his meta-analysis, John Hattie found that professional development of any kind had a profound impact on student learning. Indeed, some literacy studies found that professional development can improve student results by up to 12 months, with lower ability students gaining the most. But is there such a thing as too much professional development, with high expectation of results, which is too quickly given and too soon to be absorbed by teachers and students to be effective? Some schools offer extensive professional development, guest speakers, off-site development courses, or in-school development. Others offer nothing or very little. My first two schools fell into the second bracket. It was a case of, here's your class, get on with it, or we'll find someone else. This school, we'll call it Beachside, is the opposite. Twice a week, every week, we have PD after school from 3:30 to 5:30 when teachers are tired and just want to go home. This is an example of one semester of PD. While most teachers at Beachside view some of the professional development as useful, many struggle to keep up with the amount of information, extra work in showing how it's implemented in each lesson through ongoing data input, and the relevancy to their faculty or subject. Some teachers believe there's an overload of information, or it's irrelevant. For instance, visual literacy, one focal point, is easy to show in art but more difficult in maths, and many in the faculty fail to comprehend the purpose of this PD. Of course, this is different to Hattie's visible literacy, where each element of teaching and learning is categorised and ranked and visual to teachers. Dinham described this as where the equation between instructional leadership and transformational leadership is out of balance, with staff being directed to rather than inspired and motivated to implement it. But it doesn't have to be like that, and some professional development is, after all, better than none. If we do a quick SWOT of the PD at Beachside, it would look like this. Strengths. Plenty of time for professional development. This is really important in implementing any new pedagogy, especially if staff are willing to implement initiatives, if staff are happy to change their way of teaching, and they have a clear vision of the expected student outcomes. Weaknesses. The problem at the moment is there's too much PD, with staff becoming bogged down in too many initiatives, many of which overlap or contradict each other. And because of this, staff feel there's too little time spent becoming experts, and there's not enough understanding of how it will improve student results. Extra homework and being forced to explain how the initiatives are implemented in class is leaving staff feeling they're being treated as bad pupils. Opportunities. If implemented right, the result would be better trained teachers, which should lead to better pedagogy, focusing on improved student results. This can be done through teacher learning communities where teachers learn from each other. As the results improve, the school will see more motivated teachers. Threats. If stagnation continues, there could be an inertia with staff becoming disengaged and not on board with PD, or staff seeing initiatives as just another fad. And in class, staff could be abandoning reforms altogether, especially if there's perceived to be an emphasis on broad rather than deep learning. Most researchers agree that the only way for PDs to be effective is if school leaders are effective in delivering it. The SWOT analysis showed the importance of effective school leadership in developing staff professional development, and Timperley suggests 4 key roles of school leaders. Developing a vision of how teaching might impact on student outcomes. At Beachside, this is very clear, and expectations are reiterated constantly in staff meetings and professional development. Managing the professional learning environment. It depends who you ask, as management would be very profound in their claim that they are leading from the front, and expectations are equal across all learning environments. However, many staff would argue that their workloads are greater, as management only teach a few top senior classes, and so their expectations and workload would be much less. And teachers are concerned that the push for new learning for teaching is overshadowing its implementation, and some acknowledge they have no comprehension of the overreaching idea. Promoting a culture of learning within the school. Most teachers acknowledge the need for professional development and continual training. Indeed, many are continuing their own journey by taking part in learning conferences, further education such as this, or being part of a community group such as the English Teachers Association. Developing the leadership of others in relation to curriculum or pedagogy. Again, some teachers feel micromanaged, with management constantly looking over their shoulder and being given unrealistic expectations of student advancement if they use the pedagogy being promoted. These 4 ideas are also supported by research from the Grattan Institute, which found that good leadership, with emphasis on doing rather than showing, and with all staff working collaboratively, could turn schools around from failing to success. It found that when teachers teach teachers, they become motivated to improve results. Working collaboratively in learning communities is another way in which educators can help each other develop better teaching practices. Using the AITSL standards, the performance cycle of teachers and students at Beachside can begin. The goals put forward should be attainable by educators and easy to implement in the class. They need to have evidence of the impact of the initiative, with feedback from peers, not management, who observe the strategy being used. The AITSL suggests its performance and development cycle will help guide improvements and PD focus. Indeed, this is supported by the OECD TALIS results on the effects of professional learning. They show that the greatest impact on teachers is through qualification programs, such as the AITSL standards, individual and collaborative research, and informal dialogue and discussion between teachers. It's vital for management at Beachside to understand the importance of teacher collaboration over professional reading, especially when it's given as homework after PD. Studies show that one of the key roles of leadership is to prioritise PD. Fewer initiatives each semester would allow teachers at Beachside to put the learning into practice before new stratagem are introduced. Timperley & Co found it was important for professional learning to engage teachers in improving their understanding and skills, and that time to absorb it was more important than the quantity of erudition. They suggested that the constant repetition of instruction was necessary for deep learning of the skill. In her article on how to fix the 7 fatal flaws in professional development, Klein says the emphasis should be on allowing teachers to experiment with ideas. She says they need more than one attempt at the PD to ensure they understand its complexities. Maybe Beachside could concentrate on 1 or 2 ideas a term. Dufour puts forward the idea of a learning community, but challenges schools not to become DRIP, data-rich, information-poor, or a results-driven community. He concludes that this is of little use in promoting teaching development and student results, which is of course down to strong leadership. And indeed, information overload is a big problem within the teaching and learning community at Beachside, but most welcome the chance to work and trade ideas within a learning community. Improvements in teachers' teaching and learning is only the beginning. The true outcome is, of course, improved results for students. Managing the amount of PD and the depth of its understanding is key to ensuring that it's implemented, and leaders are key to that. Giving teachers the skills to understand the impact of new pedagogy is important to ensure it's maintained and the long-term benefits are shown. Reintroducing the professional development after it's been initiated would also be beneficial, as it would enable teachers to implement it in their classes and understand and ingrain the ideas being put forward, and return with informed suggestions and questions about improvements. If done after a few weeks, then teachers should begin to see changes in students and improved results. Allowing teachers to work within their learning community and not feel they're being micromanaged would also encourage teachers to embrace the initiative and motivate and use them. While any PD has been shown to be better than none, good initiatives, thoroughly understood, with achievable and defined results, would increase the likelihood of its successful implementation at Beachside School in the long term.